So good afternoon and good evening, my all my friends. Sorry, good afternoon also already over. uh, Today we have eminent musician, excellent musician, and a prodigy. I have to say the prodigy because I know him for a long time. Very young, talented Karnatic flute player, J.Jayanth. J.Jayanth. We all call him uh, Flute Giant. You may experience him, his musician several times. His musical journey is very unique. Very unique. Jayant is the most sought after Carnatic flautist of his generation. A prodigy, affectionately called Flute Jayant by 1,000 people. Is a young musician of natural, national and international repute. Born in music family, he was naturally drawn into early training on bamboo flute in the Indian classical music tradition of Guru Shishya Parampara. Since the tender age of 5, from his grandfather and guru, late Kalaimamani Flute T.S. Shankaran, a Sangeet Natak Academy award himself and a prime disciple of the legendary Flute Mali. You may have heard about him, T.R. Mahalingam. His grandmother, late Vidushi V.S. Sundari, grounded him well in vocal music by the age of 4. With his inborn talent, deep passion, and primordial training, Flute Jayant gave his maiden solo concert at the age of 7 years old. His ability to play Ragam Tanam Pallavi in 3 speeds at the age surprised many senior musicians, co-artists, and audience alike. Jayant has a unique virtuoso fingering and flute blowing techniques to present his music beautifully, even in the very difficult lower octaves on the bass and double bass. Thick-walled bamboo flutes, while maintaining through the Shuddham, perfect pitching we called accuracy, and excellent tonal quality. His expressive bhava laden rendering brings out the depth and soul of lyrical aspects of composition. He presents Gayagi form. We all know the Gayagi form come from the Hindustani music. Carnatic music is fully Gayagi form itself, emotional rendering. As a result, Flute Jayant's over 1,600 solo concerts in India, all over the world, have consistently won him lasting appreciation from one and all, including senior musicians, co-artists, connoisseurs, and rasikas. His unique playing virtuosity and lyrical expressivity have inspired many flautists of the current generation and the young crop of imbibe his style. Flute Jayant has been invited to perform regularly preeminent sabhas and venues such as the Madras Music Academy, Sodhirunal Sangeetotsavam, Clubland Tyagaraja Festival, Shanmugananda Hall, Mumbai. It is very famous. Kalakshatra Foundation, Sri Fort, New Delhi, Purana Koila, Delhi, Chaudhaya Hall, Bangalore, Prashanti Nilayam, Puttaparthi, Kennedy Center, Washington, D.C., all over the world. Darbar Music Festival at UK, Milap Festival, all over the world. He traveled in the age of this particular musician, the uniqueness. I'm happily inviting him to part of the show. Seriously, I'm honored the presence of Jayanth today. So
Thank
welcome
you so
Jayanth to
much.
the welcome Jayanth to part of the show. Today you are the chief guest for me. For me, you are Enoda Tambida. You are my brother. I know him for a long time, and we have worked it together too. Jayanth, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much, Apology, for inviting me.
Yeah,
And
that's
thanks for the kind words of appreciation.
uh, this is more than kind words. Actually, I have to tell you that you are purely pure soul, purely eminent musician, purely extra Wagner artist. I know that.
Thank
That's the
you.
reason I'm talking to you. And
Thank you so much.
so the people are asking, maybe ask, like, how old are you right now?
Oh, I'm 27.
You are 27.
I'll be
Since
turning 27 next year. Yeah.
okay, since 4 years old, you started your journey. 7 years old was your first performance.
Yeah.
Okay, could you have any memory about your first performance? Could you explain on that?
Oh, yes, yes. I remember the concert really, really well. It was Dwaram Venkatasamy Naidu Day, the celebrated violinist from the past. And the concert was organized by Dwaram Mangatayadu Amma, Venkateswamy Naidu's daughter and celebrated violinist herself. So it was Dwaram Mangatayadu Amma who heard me practice at my grandfather's place when she had visited once. And that is when she said, that he should perform for my Father's Day. And this was in the year 99. And it was Sri Velu Ramabhadran sir, Sangeeta Kalanidhi Sri Velu Ramabhadran sir on the Mridangam, and on the Mridangam. So someone of his stature to have uh, accepted to play for as someone as young as me at that age in itself is a blessing. And I must say I was very lucky for that to happen. And the chief guest for the concert was Sangeeta Kalanidhi Sri T.K. Govindarao sir, and there were so many eminent musicians. There was Sri Sikil Bhaskaran sir on the violin. Then there was Sri T.R.S. sir, T.R. Subramaniam sir. He was there in the audience. There were so many other musicians that were there, and it was a blessing to get this kind of an opportunity to give my first concert, wherein the sabha is it's a Vidwat Sabha wherein you have musicians, senior, very, very senior musicians that have proved themselves time and again. Uh, you know, Several stalwarts sitting in the audience and stalwarts on the stage like Sri Velu Ramabhadran sir. So that was the first concert, and this happened at Srinivasa Shastri Hall in Luz in Mylapore. So I have vivid memories of that concert, and I played Bilahari as the main, and then I also played Baru Krishnaya, the Ragamalika composition. I played it because T.K. Govindarao sir was in the audience. As I said, he was the chief guest, and T.K. Govindarao sir was the one who set Baru Krishnaya to tune. So I remember all that very vividly, and also a couple of the media reviews, the newspaper reviews that followed. So I have some very fond memories from that concert.
Yeah. Can you play a little Bilahari?
Oh, sure.
I can feel your grandfather tone from it.
Oh yes, I'm very lucky, and I consider myself very privileged to be born as his grandson, such a great human being and such a great musician.
My dear friends, he is uh, grandson of T.S. Shankaran sir, the great flute maestro in Karnatic style. I had several experience with him. That he, when I met him long years back, I think he never born at that time. When I went to the All India Radio here for the performance, my recording was here in Chennai. So my brother was taking me to him, his presence, because my brother was a disciple of him. That is Shankaran sir told me, நீ நல்லா வாசிக்கிறடா, உட்காந்து ப்ராக்டிஸ் பண்ணா நல்லா வரும், உனக்கு தாடா நாளா வச்சிருக்காங்க. That word that's still in my brain. After that, I was very young that time. So such a eminent scholar taught you. You've grown with them. That is amazing. Could you share some experience that you learned from Shankaran sir itself, your guru?
Oh yes. So firstly, he's a great flautist. He had several students, and he was such a devoted teacher. Um, I remember most of my learning from my grandfather used to be when he would teach his students, and then I used to sit and observe, because his way of teaching his students, I felt there was a lot more sincerity than in teaching me directly. So he had several students, and he was such a giving teacher. He would never think twice before sharing, techniques that are so difficult on the flute to be played, and also the way in which it has to be taught, so that the student also learns it the right way. So he was a very giving teacher, and more than the fact that he taught me and kind of ensured that I play in a certain way, he never imposed his style on me. So he would always tell me, you should play the way you're getting it, but then the foundation needs to be strong, because only when the foundation is strong can uh, you kind of branch out with different style and different way of playing. So he never imposed a style on me, which I feel is his greatness, and I'm very lucky that in that way I could make a style of playing for myself. And he ensured that all of his students were taught in a certain way wherein they acquire music, at the same time they understand the flute playing techniques, also they blossom in a way in which they are supposed to, even without depending on a guru. For example, uh, personally he taught me things like, what is the right way to learn a composition, what is the right way to start playing an alapna. So instead of telling me that this is what you have to do, he showed me the process of learning from scratch, be it learning a varnam on your own, learning a composition, or learning a new raga, how to approach a new raga that's not all that popular or relevant in times. So I have always believed that there are certain ragas that are relevant in certain phases of one's life, in certain phases of your listening, and then so that's a kind of an evolution. So he always ensured that he taught me the right way to learn, and I think that is how music has to be uh, given to future generation.
Okay. Uh, Speciality of Shankaran sir's playing, I always experienced whenever I listened. He has extreme enhancement of Indian classical music. He knew, I think I felt he also experienced, he listened or experienced in Hindustani music. So there are several kind of melodious stuff with him playing. Emotion is there better than mathematics.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So that belongs to his character only. Highly
Exactly.
empathetic character, highly emotional character, highly lovable character. So what your character is your music, your art. So that I
Right.
had, that is experienced from his music. Could you have explain? Could you have any memory that you had practiced with him or learned from you, that as a guru shishya parambara style? Do you?
Oh, yes. So I used to live in Kolkata when I started performing. So he used to be in Chennai and he used to visit uh, us for like 2, 3 months every year. And that is when my music learning used to happen. So he would come, he would teach me about, and it was all very informal. So it was never like he wanted me to become a flautist. He never actually wanted me to become a flautist. He never wanted me to take music as a profession. So it was all just for the sake of music. So he taught me because he wanted to teach me this art. And although I was very, very interested, more so, I was more interested in learning the flute. Flute was like an obsession on my part. So I always used to roam around with flute as a kid also. So his teaching, so we would just sit, and then in the class would go on for hours. So he would teach, and then he would give me some stories, some interesting anecdotes of, for example, he was teaching me Bhairavi, and
Oh,
then there's a particular Sangati that Arlatur brothers used to sing. The famous Karnatic duo from the past. So he just played that. I played it, and then he would tell me something like, "Oh, இது ஆளுத்தூர் brothers வந்து பிரமாதமா பாடுவா. இது வந்து ஜிஎன் பாலசுப்ரமணியம் இந்த சங்கதி இப்படி இந்த பிரிகா இப்படி பாடுவார். ராஜரத்னம்
mm,
பிள்ளை அங்க வந்து இப்படி நாதஸ்வரம் சங்கதி." So things like that. So our classes would go on for hours, but music would not be the only content that we discussed or he spoke about. So we discussed musicians of the past, their music, and then how interesting anecdotes of how what Mali sir told him before a concert, interesting stories that he used to remember at his age of 60 plus, 65 plus. So it used to be very interesting. Other than that, the flute playing as such, the way in which he taught me, so we never started off with the basics. He never taught me the basics like Sarali Jante. So the first thing that he taught me was Rara Venu Gopala Bala in Bilahari. And then we slowly started, having classes very informally. I was learning vocal then from my grandmother. So simultaneously, I used to practice that on the flute, and he was a bit impressed. But then to impress him real hard, that I want to play flute, and I'm very, very serious about it. I had to learn certain compositions on my own. Inta Saukimani in Kapi and Ninuvina Namadindu in Navarasa Kannada. So I learned that on my own and played it for him. That's when he realized that, okay, as a kid, this guy is very, very serious, and I have to teach him. And ever since he started teaching me very seriously, the first kriti that he taught me was Vatapi Ganapatim. And I used to be playful at times, not always. I was a very serious flute student. He used to tell me that, you need to be very sincere to your profession. You're not supposed to take it light. You need to be very sincere. And at times when I would just skip sangatis just because I found it boring to repeat a sangati twice or repeat, go in a certain order. I'm talking about all this when I was like 7, 8, 9 years old. He was a disciplinarian in the sense he would ensure that I repeat every sangati twice, the right way, the traditional way, and I don't skip any of the sangatis. And even if I played a note that probably sounds good, in the ragam, but then does not really fall into the parameters of the ragam being technically right, then he would stop me right there. And so he used to. So there were certain things, certain aspects of music that he was very, very disciplined about. And he would tell me that, if you're playing a raga as main in Carnatic, we have main raga and the sub main, ragas in a concert. He would tell me that the main has to be, one of those big fives like Bhairavi, Todi, Kambodi, Kalyani. So he was very strict on those aspects. And classes with him used to be very interesting. So he would play, then I would repeat it. At times he would sing, and then I would play. And then he also ensured that I learn compositions in a certain way in order to improve upon the Gayaki style of playing. It's just not tutukaram and akaram, but it's also about how close you are to singing. So he would generally sing a line, I would repeat it, then we would play it on the flute. So there are certain aspects in terms of how disciplined learning is supposed to be, is what he imparted in me, and which is very important, because you have to tell a kid how disciplined the learning has to be, the learning concept of learning has to be, so that he carries forward the very same tradition for years to come. So I must thank my grandfather for for those kind of contributions that he had in me as a student.
This is very interesting thing. Also, there are thing your lineage is connected to the somewhat Malis too, because
Correct.
I always feel Mali with you. You have a Mali's flute with you. I do remember that you showed me.
Correct. Yes.
It's there. I think. Could you show that?
I don't have it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have it. I have also performed a concert with Mali sir's flute. Gurvayur Dore Mama played on the mridangam in that concert. That was like 3 years back.
Yeah. Could you? I wish to hear the style of his presentation. Actually, Mali, so you can explain it.
So when I did start off, I had only 2 role models, and it was my grandfather and Mahalingam. So my flute playing to me was just them, and I used to copy them blindly. I'm not sure if I ended up playing like them back then, but I used to copy them. So something about Mali sir, one is, I have this 5.5 flute. So I basically play 5.5, I change my finger position, I transpose and then play. When I do my concerts in D sharp. So, 5.5, I can transpose and play, ragas like Sindhu Bhairavi Kirvan. So I don't have Mali sir's flute right now, but certain aspects of Mali sir's music which are very important and which I feel people have forgotten. One is the Shruti Suddham, the perfect alignment to pitch. That's the most important part of his flute playing. And second is the tone, the tonality of his playing. Is something that remains unmatched. I can probably say, and especially playing at a pitch as high as 5, to have that kind of a mandarasthai, to have that amount of sweetness at the same time being pitch perfect is very, very difficult. And it is only Mali who could do that. And there can never be anyone else who can do that, right? So certain aspects in his flute playing. One is the nidanam with which he played. But did Mali sir always play like that? I don't really think so, because in his younger days, he had the energy, the work that a 20-year-old would have, a 25-year-old would have. So his music was also fast-paced, and he had those brigas, the phrases, the lightning speed brigas, playing Ninnuvina Namadindu, the Charanam, things like that. So it was much later that his music became mellow. So certain things that I kind of picked up from his music, for instance, the effect in the mandara style. So this is a 5.5. So if I were to do that's sapasa,
Yes. Yeah.
but if I were to do something or out of observing Mali sir's tone, it is the bass effect, like this tone, the bass effect. So, the lower octave can produce. Now, this is the regular tone that the flute can bring. But to play it like, the lowest note, the kind of wave that he could produce. So these are the things that, Mali sir actually brought in something very fresh into flute playing. Even though his seniors, I have heard recordings of Tirupambaram Swaminatha Pillai, another great flautist. It was Tirupambaram Swaminatha Pillai who first introduced Gayaki style of playing on the flute. And his contemporary, the legendary Palladam Sanjeeva Rao sir, who was the reigning monarch of flute back in the 30s and 40s. But these aspects into flute playing, and also if you were to do a todi on flute, which is such a difficult ragam, so the way in which todi is supposed to be played on the flute. So these were the things that Mali sir brought in new, along with technical finesse. So even if he was doing in Kambodi, you cannot do this if you're not technically strong on the flute, right? So at the same time maintaining the melody in your bass, the Mandarasthai, according to me, are his specialities, because this aspect that he gave to flute playing was not there pre-Mali. And these are the technicalities, the nuances that I think flautists from him, ever since him, have picked from him. So I think these are certain qualities that Mali sir's music left me amused with. And I tried my best to kind of incorporate all this on my D sharp, because D sharp, I use a very thick bamboo.
Yeah, I do understand.
So in order to bring about, those nuances, it's very difficult. So I had to change my blowing technique in such a way that I could do. So in order to bring about that Mandarasthai effect. So those are the things that I was left amused with Mali sir's playing, and be it his speed, lightning speed, phrases like, for example, say Kalyani. He was the first to play phrases like Madhapamagarisana sir. So he was the first to play all this. So his contribution to flute is immense. And flautists today, I think all of us are very, very grateful to Mali sir and his contributions.
The other thing, actually, we have got several records of Mali, but the peculiar records I got from these collections that he plays kapi well.
Oh, yes, of course.
It was amazing kapi I listened. Could you play a little kapi? if you feel something Mali inside, that will
Oh
be
yeah, I mean,
please.
I have the first time. I think it was right after this first concert of mine in '99. One of my grandfather's friends from Chicago, he had given him CDs of Mali Sir's concerts, and I listened to one such copy, which is now on YouTube also, wherein he plays things like things like that. I mean, it is unimaginable back in the day. And then also his the raga alapna that he does around the Antaragandaram. So kapi is a raga wherein you have two knees,
Yeah, yeah.
you have
Every
two
notes are
gas,
there. Yeah,
right? So you have two gas also. So
yeah,
so if I were to play the scale,
yeah.
so after a bit of alapna, that transition from the ga 3 to ga 2 is just. So Mali sir was the first to play all these, the slide in flute, and then also his certain phrases of his from ga. So he would do all this, I mean, very playfully. So I used to wonder, what kind of an atmosphere, would have existed there for people to enjoy music from a master like him. And he's in his elements, like he's let loose. He's playing things, everything that strikes him, in the mind, he's able to play, reproduce that on the flute. I mean, I just feel very jealous that I was not there when all this happened.
We are
It
all
was such
feeling
beautiful music. Yeah,
such a great activity. And your grandma was teaching vocal to you, no?
right.
I think is definitely for us for a son. I think grandma was very specific, a special category actually.
Yeah, so it was my grandmother who was very insistent and persistent that my talent should not go waste, because she was the one who first identified my talent. I was about 3 years old. She was singing Krishnani Begane Baro, and I was repeating everything phrase by phrase.
Yeah,
So thankfully, we also have the cassette with us. So that's when she said, this kid has something special. Like, how every elder would, notice first.
yeah,
My grandfather was very hesitant because he wanted me to become a doctor or an engineer of that kind. But it was my grandmother who was very persistent that I become a full-time musician and that my talent, gets exposed. So I'm very grateful to her for
yeah.
because certain prayers, certain vibes ensure that it happens. So the strong will, the determination, it doesn't go waste.
That was a great experience, and you're getting certain teachers in your growing time. Your talent can identify the person who lives with you. That is a very luckiest, very very great opportunity for every
Right.
musicians actually.
Absolutely.
Musicians may not get chances, but you are in a way actually your unique experience gone through, and you are as a kind of a tradition is going through with its Shankar and Mali's tradition through you. You reached into you, after you are. I think you are very young now, not yet to married, but but definitely. Uh, what is your experience with international collaborating with international musicians? You have traveled a lot of places actually.
Oh yes, I have traveled a lot, and the fact that this corona has ensured all of us are at home. More than the fact that I feel awkward about staying home, my people at home, my family, they are like, well, because they haven't seen me so long at home at a stretch for such a long time, right? So they are like, why doesn't this Corona thing go off so that you resume with your concert tours? Yeah, I have been very lucky, and the last 8-9 years, I have been traveling a lot. Be it United States of America, Canada, UK, Scotland, Europe, various places in Europe. Like we did an entire tour of Switzerland. We did about 14 concerts only in Switzerland. It was
Switzerland.
only in Switzerland. So every nook and corner of Switzerland, right from Lugano, Locarno, Thun, Bern, Basel, Geneva, so St. Kreuzlingen, so various places in Switzerland. I've been to Australia, so there's been a lot of travel, and it's all been great. For example, playing for audiences, say in Europe, is a completely different experience as such, because to them, Indian music is more about meditation. So the music has to be given to them in such a way that they find it to be meditative. And also certain aspects of your music also improves, like mine, personally speaking, it has improved a lot in the sense, when playing for audiences in Europe, they are very, very specific about the tone, the sound, and the measure of sound. So right from how loud the tanpura is, to how loud your playing is, to how beautiful or not your tone is, and how the sound which emanates together when you perform with a violin and a mridangam or a tabla or a co-artist like shehnai or a flute or a sarod. So how does this sound make an impact on them? That is very, very important, and it's a learning process, because I until and unless until Switzerland tour happened, for example, I have never played in Europe before. I had never played in Europe before. So my exposure was to primarily Indian audiences or foreigners that are used to listening to Carnatic music the way Carnatic music is performed, be it in US, be it in Canada, be it in places like Australia or UK or even Scotland, various parts in India. But to play something very Carnatic for people in Europe that have not got adequate exposure to Carnatic music gave me a sense of responsibility, because they also have to like the music that we play so that they come back to listen to yet another Carnatic recital. So the first concert, there was a bit of hiccup saying, the tanpura is a bit loud, it has to be reduced. That was reduced. And then also they like to listen to instruments in its rawest form. So they don't like amplification, which I personally prefer. I really liked that part, and that kind of gave me an adrenaline, and the concert was very, very good. And typically in Europe, you don't have audiences that throng, in numbers of 400s, 500. So it's about 100 to 150 people in a beautiful auditorium that has an amazing ambience, absolutely conducive for beautiful music. So things like that. So the tour of Switzerland was a revelation in these aspects, how to work on tone, sound, whether you're loud or not, even if you're using amplification, microphone, how much do you really use it? So what is your dependence on technology, and how dependent you are not supposed to be? So things like these, the detailing is what international tours playing for non-Indian audiences, non-Carnatic audiences taught me. As far as the experience is concerned, I played at the Sydney Music Festival in Australia, and that probably is the largest audience that I have played for, more than 1,100 people. That was phenomenal, and the concert was so well received. It was a 2.5-hour concert. It was really well received. And then playing at the Darbar Festival last year, again, it was a sold out concert. We had about 800 and 900 people. And then the standing ovation went on for almost 5-6 minutes. Things like these, I think, really opens up your creativity also as a musician, because something that a musician needs, end of the day, is not money. It is not regular concert dates as well. It is encouragement, the right form of encouragement, and appreciation from audiences, no matter how big or small the audience is. So I always tell my friends, after doing a long tour, it also happens during tours, right? At times, where we did a tour of US and Canada last spring. We did 32 concerts in 3 months. So we had 12 weeks, 11 weeks, and we did 32 concerts. So typically we did concerts every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was a packed schedule. And it was a massive tour. It was a very successful tour. I had great time with my artists, my friends, musicians who traveled with me. It happens. Some of the concerts have huge audience, like not yet another festival, Chicago Tyagaraja Festival. We had about 600 people. Cleveland Tyagaraja Festival, the first time I performed, the auditorium was full. But there are certain concerts wherein you have about 60 people, because the venue is smaller, the city is smaller, and it doesn't have as many Indians, as say a Chicago would have, New Jersey. But that doesn't really make a difference to musicians. Once they get on stage, they never sing for 50 people, oh, the music is going to be different. Oh, you have like 700 people, so the kind of music that I give is different. It doesn't happen like that. So I think the very fact that you are so steeped in devotion, music is about how devoted you are to music, whether you're religious, whether you're spiritual. I don't think these are any parameters that equals devotion to music as such. It is art. So how devoted you are to the art is what is important. So I think tours like these, concerts like these, it teaches you that, no matter what, if you are devoted to music, music will always have something to give back to you. So I have learned all this from, the several tours, several concerts. Some concerts are very good. Some concerts are not all that good in terms of audience, but then the music is really good. I still remember there was a concert, I don't know to mention the venue and all that. It was in India. There were only about 30 people, 35 people. But I was in a very good mood that day. My co-artists, phenomenal musicians again, they were in a very good mood. So we performed for almost 3 hours, 45 minutes. And that was, I would say, that is probably one of my best concerts. But unfortunately, there were only 30 people. So did 30 people really make a difference? No, it doesn't. So I think it's just the ambience, the vibes that really matters. And these are the takeaways that I've had in the last several years.
Very interesting matter, I think. My dear friends, listen this young musician. There is one quotable, important sentence he said: whether it is spiritual, whether it's religious, art is art. It belongs to heart. That is a very important fact. The new generation proved where the world going up. What we need art belongs to heart. Other than any parameter is not necessity. I will go for a wonderful concert, the Jugalbandi with a great maestro. Just to listen. After that, we will go for one again that talk about these things. Just here, I know this is unique Jugalbandi. I belongs to this festival. This was part of Margari Festival at Chennai, 2015, December
Correct.
to
December
January.
2015. Yes.
Yeah. I do remember. I was part of the as a audience, as a listener. I was there in audience.
Yes, Paulaji. You were there in the audience. Yeah, I remember
I-
vividly. Yes.
yeah, Ronuji was inviting me actually. Ronuji
Correct,
told me
correct.
to come over because
Yes,
after a long time we are meeting Ronuji. Actually, he had performed, recorded for me while I was a composer in Hindi movie.
correct, correct,
So
correct.
yeah, and working with Ronu Machundar is a great maestro in the flute,
Right.
Hindustani Bansuri. He
Absolutely.
has an innovative style of playing, rendering. And
Absolutely.
I never experienced such a musician after Chaurasia is such a great maestro in Hindustani music. What a
Absolutely.
emotional rendering actually. How was how come you connect with him actually to start this idea? What was the
Oh, it was
behind this idea?
uh, it's actually a very interesting story because uh, one thing, the first time I listened to Pandit Ronuji was through YouTube. This was around 2007 or 8, and he had played a beautiful Dwajavanti piece, which was up on YouTube. And in fact, he has played his. So Ronuji has created Shank Bansuri, which is which has the sound of a conch. So he named it Shank Bansuri, which is basically a double bass. So he brought that into Hindustani flute, and he has also popularized that. Um, so when I was approached for this Jugalbandi concert um, by Bharat Kalachar, the organization. So this was also my first Jugalbandi concert, and I can only consider myself to be very fortunate that it happened with Pandit Ronuji, who's I have been a big fan of ever since my younger days. So it's more like a dream come true for me to have had my first Jugalbandi concert with him, and ever since then we have performed about a dozen concerts all over India, and all these Jugalbandis have been very successful. One is Ronuji has this very beautiful way of blending with the artist that he does Jugalbandi with. And also, since that was my first time with him, he made me feel very comfortable, and he gave me my space. And as you can see from that particular recording, wherein he's giving me a lot of space, and he's also very encouraging on the stage. I have learned a lot of Hindustani techniques from uh, Ronuji and several Hindustani flautists. But something that I found very, very intriguing ever since the first time I heard Ronuji was his sound of the Shank Bansuri. So for the past 12 years, 13 years, have been wanting to introduce Shank Bansuri into Carnatic flute playing. And I could do that like 4 years back, but then there were a lot of changes that I had to make. So finally, I got my double bass flute done. This is about 103 centimeters long. This is the longest flute played in Carnatic music. The longest flute that can also produce all the notes, and you can play a raga on it. So this is my double bass flute. So I always make it a point to take Ronuji's name every time I play this, because he was the one who inspired me to bring this into Carnatic music. And I wouldn't say I have mastered it yet, but I'm just playing. I have
It's
mastered a
too
couple
big.
of ragas on this, and
Oh,
it's a huge flute. And
yeah.
what makes it more tough is the fact that the holes are extremely apart.
Yeah.
So you need to be really, really technically strong to be able to
Yeah.
play. So
Just try.
yeah, I'm not sure if the headphone would be able to pick it, but um, there was also a new recording that I had posted on Facebook, on
Yeah.
YouTube, Pibare Ramarisam, wherein I have played a bit of
Yeah.
raga alap on this.
Yeah.
So just the sound of it. So that's Ga.
Yeah, we can hear. We can hear it properly.
So if I were to play a particular raga, if I have to play, say, Mohanam Ragam on this, in the Karnatic style, I'll just play few phrases here. So a bit of Mohanam Ragam. So
Beautiful.
and I'm also trying to play some hardcore Carnatic ragams on this. The challenge is the fact that it is very difficult to get a double bass flute done for this particular pitch, because the flute makers need to be extremely sophisticated to get it done. And also one more thing that makes it difficult is the distance between the mouth hole and the first finger hole. So yeah, I've been practicing long hours on this, and probably in the next 1 year or so, I would be able to play Carnatic ragams. But just to try, if I were to play any ragam, do you have any ragam that you would want to do? So say if I were to do Sittodi.
Yeah.
So I've been practicing these ragas in the heavyweight Carnatic ragams also.
Fingers will be very stiff, no? Fingers will be
I'm
very
okay.
stiff.
I mean, I've been doing this for quite some time, so I want to make it popular among Carnatic flautists also in due course, maybe sometime in future.
Yeah, I do practice sometime float actually.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Awesome.
my brother is a flute player, so we have started together. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you play the flute, Polaji.
Some of my recordings actually I'm playing only.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
This is actually unique style of playing yours. Actually, I feel very oriented, very deep, very powerful rendition actually from your style. I am extremely happy of you that
Thank you.
your character express in your rendering.
Thank you.
How much you are down to earth, how much your politeness, how much you are deep in the love, how much you are away from the frames. Frame means you understood what I am mentioning. Frame, the religion, caste, spirituality, or anything like that. How much you away from the frames. So how much you are frameless. That express
Right,
your music.
famous. Thank you. Thank you so much for the kind words, Polaji.
I will go for one of your playing. Hope it will works. I'm taking from the YouTube. Hope it works. I will go for that. If this works. What a rain harvest it was.
Thank you.
I came to know that your Hindustani music lot influenced you while you playing this rag.
Yes, Paulie. So I have not learned Hindustani music formally,
Yeah,
but I have listened to a lot of Hindustani music, and
yeah,
I have tried to listen to several vocalists, Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Saab, Ustad Amir Khan Saab, um, Kumar Gandharva ji,
yeah,
Bhimsen Joshi ji, Pandit Jasraj ji,
yeah.
several instrumentalists, Pannalal Ghosh Saab, Hariprasad Chaurasya ji, Shiv Kumar Sharma ji, Amjad Ali Khan ji. So I have listened to almost everyone from Hindustani music. I've listened to a lot of other forms of music also. I've listened to Sufi, I've listened to Qawwali. So I try to infuse as much from theirs into my music as possible. And I'm
That
also a big fan of uh, Hindi film music from the 50s, 60s, 70s, like
R.D.
Salil,
Burman something.
Salil Chaudhary ji, Madan Mohan Saab,
Naushad.
Naushad ji. I have listened to a lot of their music, and I try to bring in that aesthetics into my recital. At the same time, keeping the Carnatic component, the core Carnatic component.
This is a great, actually, you have gone through several, you have a curiosity or enthusiasm to go through the several versions of splendid art forms like various musicians style in
Yes,
Hindustani music.
yes, and
That is quality.
I must thank my grandfather. So going back to your first question, so my grandfather's contributions. So every time he notated a composition for me, he would listen to the same composition by is being sung by 4 or 5 different masters, and he would try to incorporate the best of their sangatis and then give me the final output. So it's all his ideas, that I should be open listening to other forms of music and be open to receiving as much uh, good as possible from others as music, rather than not doing that.
You have gone through, worked with several Hindustani musicians. Of
Yes.
course, Ronu Majumdar.
Yeah, I've
Is
been very lucky to in this short span. I'm sure there'll be many more in the years to come. So I've been very very blessed and fortunate that I have done so many concerts with Ronu ji, Pandit Ronu Majumdar ji, then myself, and the combinations have been very new and fresh. So myself and Pandit Ashwani Shankar ji from Delhi. He belongs to this great Shehnai flute family from Delhi. His grandfather was Pandit Anantlal ji. They belong to the Bholanath Prasanna family. They are all cousin brothers. So, having done so many concerts with Pandit Ashwani Shankar ji, we have performed all over India. We have toured Switzerland. We have toured UK, London. We have performed in London, Liverpool, Manchester, Scotland. So that's been a great collaboration. I have also worked with a couple of Sarod artists from Hindustani music. So it's all been very enriching.
we spent together, we worked, practiced together, but we haven't performed together.
We have also, yes, Apology. That was 7 years, 8 years back.
Yeah.
And
It's long
yeah,
time
we
back.
should perform soon.
Anyway, it is the right time to wind up the show. It's almost more than 1 hour is finished. We never understand where his time goes, but it's going time
Exactly.
without knowing. But it was a wonderful experience with you, brother. Actually, you are amusing human being, amusing
Thank
artist,
you.
and
Thank you.
studious student of Indian classical music. Because that I can understand from you, your talk that you are going through several kind of style of presentation of in Indian several part of India, Sufi and all those blah blah blah. So that is a great thing that it will take you It will take you to the height of Indian classical music. I don't have
Thank
any
you.
doubt that you are the future of Indian music,
Thank you.
Indian flute
Thank you so much.
lineage, and I don't know what to say, but I feel I will miss you this COVID era. One more question:
Yeah,
you musicians are traveling a lot, but this COVID made us to stuck down our traveling. What was doing
correct.
these days is actually, you.
So I have been practicing a lot, Apology. Uh, so I have been practicing certain aspects of my flute playing that I have been wanting to for quite a long time now. So I've got the time to work around that. Learning new compositions, like I learned a new composition of Saint Tyagaraja yesterday. I learned a composition in Ragam Bhavapriya, Sri Kantani. It's a rare composition.
Bhav- Bhavapriya, Rag Bhavapriya.
Bhavapriya, and that's very challenging on the flute. So I've been taking ragas that are challenging on the flute because I believe you improve on your technique only when you also are exposed to more forms of music, different kinds of music. That's when you think of how to play that on the flute and then work on your techniques. So I have been learning new compositions, working on certain aspects of music, and sleeping for a little longer than I used to, and reading books, things like that. But it's basically been surrounding music, listening to Hindi film songs, Rafi, Kishore. I'm a big fan of his, theirs, and then listening to Tamil cinema music from the 60s and 70s. So all this is something that I have always wanted to do, but travel and practicing for your concerts, especially when you have back-to-back concerts, it is also important that your music is fresh. So there's a lot of hard work that goes in order to ensure that the music is also fresh, because you also cater to uh, similar audiences here and there. So you need to be well equipped. So in the
The
last four months, I have been taking it. I wouldn't say I've been taking it a bit easy, but I've had more leisure time, and I have been listening to a bit of film song, reading stuff, trying my hand and cooking, and things like that.
yeah, end of the show, actually, I have a special request to you. That
Mhm.
could you play a specific rag today, the unique rag, but everywhere this rag, everyone knows this rag, Sindhu Bhairavi. Little more Alap, please.
Oh, Sindhu Bhairavi. Sure.
It is a great rag. Every music system having this rag. My dear Jayant, you made my day myself. I'm extremely sure that my listeners' day also you made beautifully. We can sleep well.
Thank you. Thank you
It
so
is
much.
it's right time to finish the show, but I need to sit long time with you. We have to spend a long time to practice together. Definitely, we will do a shot
Definitely.
together or records together very soon. Uh,
Definitely.
we both are living same town.
Absolutely. Yes. Chennai. Number
And
Chennai.
நம்ம சென்னை தான், அங்கே விட்டு எங்கேயும் போக கூடாது. முடியாதுல்ல.
Correct. Po
சரி.
முடியாது.
முடியாது. Thank you very much, man. Today
Thank
you
you, Paul.
given a wonderful chance to talk to you. You were listening to music, your experience. இவர் தாத்தாயை பத்தி நிறைய சொன்னாரு. அதுக்கப்புறம் அவருடைய குருவை பத்தி நிறைய சொன்னாரு. T.R. Mahalingam, your father-in-law, and your lineage. You are the one of the
Grandfather.
lineage of grandfather. You are the one of the great lineage of T.R. Mahalingam. I am extremely sure there is no changes in the life. Actually, the life only will change through the music. M stands for morality, U stands for universality, S stands for sociality, I stands for individuality, C stands for capability. Very important fact that international musicians always believe that. Thank you very much. Be stay
Thank
and
you, Paul.
safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
My dear audience, this guy, my friend, my musician is leaving now, but we will listen. He's one of the composition today, and show will be end up. Thank you, Jayant there.
Thank you so
Please,
much, Paul.
thank you.